Alright, so before we get started with our maths lesson, I thought I'd give a shout out to Josh for his birthday today. So happy birthday, Joshy. Give him a clap, boys. Maybe the guys at home could sing him happy birthday. Alright, now for Josh's birthday, we're going to have a look at subtracting integers. So a lot of the same conventions that we're using with the counters and number lines with adding integers are the same with subtracting integers, but we'll just go through a few differences. So again, zero pairs are useful, and a zero pair when we're using the counter model, if we've got one blue and one red, those basically cancel each other out and we get a zero. And we will be using that again with this subtraction of integers. Now when we're using a number line to help us with subtracting integers, we do the same process of starting at the point where our first number indicates. So here they've given our first number as positive 6, and so that's our starting point on our number line. Now we're subtracting positive 2. Now if we were adding positive 2, which way would we move on the number line? Right. To the right. But since we're subtracting positive 2, we're going to go the other way. So now we're moving left on the number line. So you can see they've started at positive 6, they've subtracted positive 2, so we move left on the number line. Now, this one's an interesting one. So now we've got positive 6 minus 2. So we're subtracting a negative. So again, we start at the first number, which was positive 6. Now, when we go minus 2, rather than moving to the left, like we did when we subtracted positive 2, guess what happens? We actually do the opposite and we move back to the right again. So essentially, when you subtract a negative number, it's like adding that number to the original number. Yeah, so positive 6 minus 2 gives me basically positive 6 plus 2, which is 8. So you can see the difference between positive 6 minus positive 2 and positive 6 minus 2. Alright, now we'll have a look at an example using the counter model. So we were asked to use counters to model minus 5 minus 2. So what they do is we're still using the same convention with red being negative integers and blue being positive integers. So you can see that they've written, since we start with negative 5, we've got 5 red counters. Now we're subtracting negative 2. So what they do is that they basically put a square around the number which we're subtracting. So since we're taking away negative 2, we put this square around them, and these counters within that box pretty much become blue counters. So if we had 3 reds and then we've got a box around these, if those ones there are blue, then what would our overall result be? Minus 3. Alright, so can you see how that works? So we'll have a look at an example here. Charlie, can we just get that door shut, please? So just pretend that I hadn't done this yet, but I had positive 9 and I'm subtracting positive 5. So I started out by writing my 9 black counters or blue counters, and since I'm subtracting positive 5, I put a rectangle around 5 of them, and basically the ones with the box around them, the inverse color would result. So since we have 5 blacks, I've got the box around those. Those ones are going to become reds. So essentially, this is going to be now I've confused myself. So I've got positive 9. I'm subtracting positive 5. So no, sorry, these don't come red. The ones with the box around them are just going to be eliminated. So I had 9 of them, I'm subtracting 5 of them, I put the box around them, So since those have a box around them, let's get rid of them. How many are left resulting? Just 4 of them. All right, now with -1 minus -1, remember, what did we say happens if we subtract a negative number? If we think of that number line, it becomes a positive. So in this situation, if I have -1 and I take away -1, this is going to be like saying -1 plus 1. -1 plus 1 is equal to 0, because again, if we think of this model where when we're subtracting a negative, if we inverse the color there, so that one would become blue. So we've got 1 negative, 1 positive, which gives me 0. So that would be 0. So we'll do one more example. If I've got -1 and I'm subtracting +6, I would start off by writing out my different counters. So since I've got -1, I'm going to use 1 red counter to represent that one. And then for the +6, I'm going to use my black again to represent those 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I've got -1 subtract +6. If we think of our number line, again, our starting point on the number line would be -1. And then I'm taking away +6. So which way would I move on the number line? Good. Left, and it would go to -7. And then if we want to consider that in terms of our counter model, again, we've got our red. Here are those black counters. I put my box around the 6 that I'm taking away. Those inverse color, they would become red. And then how many reds do I have? 7. And that's where that -7 comes from. I actually like the number line method better for doing these subtractions of positive and negative. So even in the questions, if they ask you to use the counter model, if you prefer and you find the number line model easier to see what's happening and to determine an answer, you can go with that model. Alright. We might even just do one with a number line just to make sure that we're comfortable with it. So let's have a look. What do we have? Let's do here we go. So use a number line to calculate each of these. We'll do 15a. So 15a is +7 minus +2. Alright, so I've got +7 minus +2. Start out by drawing our number line. I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember to add your arrows on your number lines as well. Can anyone tell me why it's important to add arrows? Yeah, because it's an infinite thing. It keeps on going. So we said whenever we want to use a number line to determine one of these, our first number tells us our starting point. So our starting point here again is going to be +7. Now I'm subtracting a positive number. So since I'm subtracting a positive number, I move to the left, and I'm going to move to the left 2 positions. So it would be 1, 2, which gives me +5. If this was +7 minus -2, rather than moving to the left, we move to the right, so that would become 9. All right, so if you like the number line method, use that. I don't really mind. Even if the question asks you to use the counter model, if you want to use the number line model, you can use that one. All right.